Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye announces the creation of a strategic council in science and technology to sharply improve the productivity of Korea's R&D sector. Korea's political parties are being stretched by internal divisions over candidate nominations for next month's general election. Plus, the head of the US military warns that North Korea's ballistic missile, nuclear developments and intent on carrying out cyber attacks pose risk to the US and its allies. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Friday, March 18th here in Seoul. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this morning, the Korean government has announced plans to boost its investment in the artificial intelligence and information sectors in the wake of the public interest in the recent matchup between a local Go grandmaster and an AI supercomputer. Now, to coordinate its efforts, President Park Geun-hye is launching a new strategic meeting that she will chair on a regular basis. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
Korea is #1 in the world when it comes to R&D, with its investment amounting to over 4% of its GDP as of 2014. But its productivity is just a third of the United States. President Park thinks the inefficiency is because the country lacks a control tower for distributing and managing its R&D resources. So she will launch a new strategic science and technology meeting that she will chair herself. The meeting will complement the work of the existing National Science and Technology Council, which coordinates the needs of related ministries based on demand.
핵심 과학기술 정책과 사업, 부처 간 이견 대립 사안을 톱다운 방식으로 전략을 마련하고 조정 역할을 수행하면서 우리 R&D 시스템의 근본적 혁신을 추진해 갈 것입니다.
The president made her announcement at a meeting on fostering intelligence information technology, where she stressed that there is no need to fear the rapid development of artificial intelligence, adding that humanity can benefit from what it has to offer.
인공지능도 사람에 의한 기술 진보의 산물이며 과거에 수많은 발명품들이 그래왔듯이 인류에게 더 많은 혜택을 가져다 줄 것으로 믿습니다.
Park said that AI, which could affect practically all sectors across society, has great potential to create new jobs and industries. She said the government will build platforms for the private sector, including a research center and infrastructure for big data processing, to enable Korea to take another leap into the fourth industrial revolution as an ICT powerhouse. President Park says innovation is the key in research and development, and to support that, the government will pay attention to what private researchers need and focus its efforts on deregulation. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Now, Korea's Science Ministry has also laid out its plans to further develop the country's intelligent information technology field, which includes artificial intelligence. Kim Ji-yeon has the details.
Korea's Science Ministry stepped up efforts to support the country's AI development and related industries engaging in the intelligent information technology field, which not only includes AI but also big data, Internet of Things, and cloud service. The Ministry of Science, ICT, and Future Planning says it will invest about $852 million over the next 5 years and induce $2 billion in private investment in the field. The ministry plans to support a civilian-led AI research center with some of the country's biggest tech companies, including Samsung and LG Electronics, telecommunication carriers SK Telecom and KT, the country's leading internet portal Naver, and global automaker Hyundai Motor.
We're aiming to bring scattered resources into one place in order to boost the competitiveness of Korean businesses in a short period of time.
The ministry plans to provide financial support for core R&D projects once a research institute is set up to build a viable business ecosystem where researchers can spin off and create AI-related startup afterwards. A local expert thinks the government's initiative is steered toward the right direction and that it'll gear more investors toward AI development.
Although it may be too late to compete with early adopters like the US tech giant Google, Korean AI companies will be able to pick up its pace soon by luring its great IT manpower pool back to the country.
The expert also expects Korean IT companies to be more competent than others by incorporating AI and big data in the medical services sector and narrow the technological gap between Korea and the US and the intelligent information sector, which currently stands at 2.4 years. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
Now it's crunch time in domestic politics here in Korea because the general election is coming up in under 4 weeks' time, and internal divisions are threatening the nation's political parties at this time as well. And with the clock winding down, the pressure really is on. Ji Myung-gil with the details.
At the ruling Saenuri Party, the so-called pro-Pak faction of lawmakers loyal to President Park Geun-hye is under fire for its candidate nomination process. Most pro-Pak lawmakers have been given the go-ahead to run in the April 13th election without primaries, while non-Pak members have been left out. Saenuri Chairman Kim Moo-sung, who also heads the non-Pak faction, boycotted Thursday's Supreme Council meeting in protest after the nomination committee, controlled by Pak loyalists, refused to reconsider the decision. Kim's action drew the ire of Kim Tae-ho, a key pro-Pak member.
It was immature of Chairman Kim to boycott the Thursday meeting when he is the leader of the Saenuri Party, but we will go ahead with the meeting to discuss pending issues.
During the meeting, Supreme Council members said they would demand an apology from Kim, but Kim has refused. Later in the day, another member of the non-Pak faction, three-term lawmaker Jin Young, quit the party because he was left off the nomination list. He said that as someone who has been with the party for 20 years, he felt betrayed. He will now run as an independent. Over on the opposition side, the main opposition Minju Party of Korea is also keeping incumbent lawmakers off its nomination list, and it too is seeing the consequences. The party has eliminated 30 sitting lawmakers from its nomination list so far, which is 30% of its 105 seats in parliament. And on Thursday, first-term lawmaker Boo Ja-yeon, who was left off the nomination list, defected to the minor opposition People's Party. The People's Party had been considering a merger with Minju, but that plan has since lost one of its biggest advocates. Senior People's Party member Kim Han-gil, who had been at odds with co-leader An Cheol-soo over the merger, conceded defeat and announced he will not run in the election to take responsibility for failing to unite the Liberal bloc. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
South Korea is monitoring a blacklisted North Korean vessel that crossed into the South waters under the name Oleon Star and registered as Mongolian. The ship is reportedly heading to the northeastern part of North Korea. Lee Ji-won has the details.
South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced late Thursday that a blacklisted North Korean ship that entered South Korean waters has the right of innocent passage unless it enters a South Korean port. Earlier in the day, the South Korean Coast Guard detected the ship heading west through the South Sea. The Ministry of Public Safety and Security said the Orion Star freighter entered South Korean waters at 11:45 a.m. and is currently passing through waters near the city of Dongyang. The ship is registered as Mongolian and has not been found carrying any illegal cargo, but the South Korean Maritime Police is currently keeping a close eye on it. It is reported that the ship carries 9 North Koreans and 10 people of Chinese nationality and left Nampo, a southwest city of North Korea, to head to Cheongjin, a northeastern city of the state. The ship is one of 31 vessels that have been blacklisted by the UN as part of the current resolution punishing the regime for its latest nuclear test and long-range missile launch. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
China and Russia have both expressed strong opposition and concern regarding the new sanctions put forth by the United States on North Korea. China's foreign ministry spokesman says Beijing opposes any single country imposing unilateral sanctions and escalating tension. He also said that China has repeatedly made it clear to the US that it opposes any action that damages its national interests. The sentiment was echoed by Russia's foreign ministry. In a regular press briefing, the ministry spokesperson said Moscow only acknowledges the legitimacy of the collection decision by the UN Security Council and does not accept unilateral pressure on North Korea by the United States. The top official in the US military has warned that North Korea's ballistic missile, nuclear developments and intent on conducting malicious cyber activities pose risks to the US and its allies. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, made the remarks in a written statement submitted to the Senate Armed Forces Committee hearing. Dunford said the US has a competitive military edge against the relatively low technology of the North Korean military. However, he added a conflict would result in a devastatingly large number of casualties. Dunford said that in the event of a conflict on the peninsula, North Korea may be able to seize the initiative and rapidly escalate hostilities, utilizing special operations forces and long-range artillery. Thursday was a pretty upbeat day for South Korean stocks, with the benchmark Kospi topping the psychologically significant 2,000 mark at one point in trading. This all comes after the US Federal Reserve decided to hold its key rate steady during its two-day meeting in Washington. Our Kim Min-ji has the numbers.
Korean shares on the local currency both hit yearly highs on Thursday. Korea's benchmark Kospi gained nearly 0.7% on Thursday to close at just under the 1,990 mark, the highest level so far this year. The Kospi even topped the 2,000 level at one point in trading. And the Korean currency closed at over 1,173 won against the US dollar, up almost 1.7% from the previous day's close. This follows overnight gains on Wall Street in light of the Fed's decision to leave its key interest rate unchanged.
The committee decided to maintain its target range for the federal funds rate. This decision partly reflects the implications for the U.S. economy of the global economic and financial developments.
That means a current interest rate target of 0.25 to 0.5% will stay the same for now. On top of that, Fed officials are now calling for 2 rate hikes this year, down from the previously envisioned 4.
The Fed is taking what's going on in the global economy into consideration. Looking at the Fed's statement in the past and now, we can see it's changing from focusing on the local economy when deciding rates to risk management, like how global uncertainties will play out for the US economy and whether it will weaken the recovery momentum.
The Fed also revised down its growth forecast for the U.S. economy to 2.2% this year, down from its previous projection of 2.4%. The outlook for inflation was also cut to 1.2% by the year's end, down from a prior 1.6% call. The Fed said moderate economic expansion and continued job growth would accommodate rate hikes down the line, prompting many analysts to say a rate hike could be in the works in June. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
US Secretary of State John Kerry has officially declared that the Islamic State militant group is committing genocide against Christians and other religious minorities across the Middle East. US Congress voted to make that designation, and Kerry had until Thursday local time to agree or disagree with it. Speaking at a news conference at the State Department, Kerry said ISIS was and continues to be responsible for genocide against groups in areas under its control, including Yazidis, Christians and Shiite Muslims. He added that without US intervention, those people would have been slaughtered in even bigger numbers. It's the first time the United States has declared a genocide since Darfur in 2004. That's all we have for now on this Friday morning here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in to our early morning newscast. We'll be back throughout the day with more news bulletins. Next scheduled one coming up at noon Korea time. But if we don't see you, have a great weekend. Goodbye.